That is Martha MacCallum.
Hey.
Fox
Hello, everybody.
News
Good morning.
joins us frequently.
Good to be with you.
Thank you. Glad to hear that. All right. It seems that people like Mr. Trump's policies, but they don't like his behavior. Is that what you're seeing and hearing?
I think we do see a lot of that. I think that probably if the president or Donald Trump watched that intro, they'd be saying not so fast. Yep. We do live in an environment, in a world now, in a society where people live longer, people work longer.
That's true.
So things are shifting. Kids grow up later.
That's
right?
true
They get serious about what they're going to do later. So I don't know if there is an overall trend towards older presidents, I should say. But I do think that there are weaknesses on both sides, which you point out accurately. President Biden keeps saying that he's going to run again. I don't know whether or not his heart is in it. I was just watching Jack Keane talk about the strength that's required to really pull the weight for Ukraine in terms of the seriousness of what we're facing in Russia. And he said, you know, I don't know if he has the deliberation and the strength to pull everyone else with him on this front. So these are the moments when it really tests the age factor. On the Republican side, you know, these January 6 hearings clearly are fodder for Democrats who want to push the former president aside and convince him that running would be untenable for him. Whether or not that feels the same 12 months from now, I think it's a little bit too soon to say, honestly, although it does remind people of his behavior, that is for sure. But I wonder what happens because you've got just this, group of people, 30% Republicans who really want him to run.
Yes.
And if somebody runs who they don't feel that way about, they're probably going to stay home. Other Republicans can have a huge stay home problem. So I think this whole battle between the so-called RINOs and Trump supporters is going to be a very serious element to watch and could be very divisive and could be very destructive for Republicans in the next election.
I can see that coming to mind. You're right there. Biden's approval rating, Real Clear Politics, down to, I think this is an all-time low, 38%. That's the approval rating. Very, very low. And the president's kind of cracking jokes about not returning home from his trip to Spain. OK, you better listen to this. Roll tape, please.
There's an old expression in a little town in Delaware called Claymont, Delaware, a little steel town. And they say, we're like poor relatives. We show up when we're invited and we stay longer than we should. So be careful. We may not go back.
Martha, I do not see our president running again in 2024. He won't admit it, but I just don't see how he can do it.
I mean, it's a low-energy environment.
Yep.
There's no other way to look at it. You know, you watch a soundbite like that, and you wonder if he has the stamina to keep going. And as you say, The Atlantic, a lot of people openly questioning this. I think it's a fair question. He says, you know, look, these are the same people who said that I wouldn't win the nomination the last time around. And he's been around a long time, that's for sure. We'll see what happens. 82 is a tough hurdle.
Do you agree with my premise that generational change is coming to politics? I
do agree that I think a lot of people are craving that. Whether or not, you know, because look at the last Democrat nomination process. I remember sitting around with a group of people who were all saying, like, you know, who do you think the nominee is going to be, right? And a lot of people said Buttigieg because they've been craving that youth environment. You know, what do you think is the right age for a president?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
73, 74.
Stuart, I think you might be thinking of running.
No, I wasn't born in America. How on earth could I possibly run for the presidency?
This is true. That's a little bit of a hurdle. Bit of a hurdle.
I think there is generational change, and we'll see it emerge fairly soon, I suspect.
We'll be watching it.
Hey, Martha, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Stuart.
We'll always watch you at 3 o'clock Eastern, Fox News Channel. It's great stuff, Martha.
Good
Thanks for being here.